the system or the history of enslavement.
Right.
I do know that Joseph also became one who was able to interpret and see that there were going to be some lean years.
Right.
There are going to be some troubled times.
Right.
And in our opening dialogue, we were talking about some troubled times. None can deny that America and the world is in a troubled situation. And that same individual whose brothers had some enmity or some jealousy, I think the minister talked about in his State of the Black World presentation to those who gathered in New Orleans, which is the symbol of poverty and neglect and misuse. He did talk about one of our issues being that of jealousy and envy. So if we enter that into the scenario and we say that, well, here's someone coming into an environment of jealousy and envy, all of a sudden having the key to the grain house leads me to think that that is a mercy or a blessing to those who would follow that leadership. Because if you look at this man, President-elect Barack Obama, even in his acceptance speech, he did it in a merciful way. He didn't gloat. He didn't shoot off the fireworks. What he did was said, everyone needs to be involved and included. And I'm going to lay this out for everybody to partake in.
Yes,
I think that's a symbol of mercy. I think that's a blessing. I think that talks to the character and the nature of this brother. And that's just from a spiritual standpoint.
Absolutely. And we'll stay right along that same vein. You know, this is the type of conversation I like to have. And for those of us who haven't recognized it, who don't recognize it, if you haven't recognized it by now, Brother Jeff is a longtime follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and student of Minister Farrakhan, as is myself. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote this illustrious book. I don't know if you can get a shot of that, Brother Ansar, The Fall of America, which was published in 1973. And in it, and I'll tell you all where you can get it a little bit later on, he predicts much of what's going on right now. And Minister Farrakhan made reference to Barack's election during this time, and that America is clearly in a fall. But when you are falling and you're subject to the law of gravity, how difficult it is to check that fall. So my question is this: how do you think that Barack's election can check that fall, so to speak, or can it?
Well, I think if you look at Barack not simply as an African American, because if you do that and you look at this through the lens of race, that means many are going to view this through a lens of racism. And when you think of the teachings or the work of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and those who have studied his wisdom, they understand that this man was not a racist. And those who are rooted in what he was saying has nothing to do with being anti-America or anti-race. What he's saying is, based on the climate or the environment, when you become more of a consumer than a producer, then you're looking at the demise of your power base. When you spend more than you take in, you're looking at a fall or a decline in your economic system. When you look at the stock market today, they say that the market has fallen again today. Now, you could say, hold on a second. You can't say that. You're being anti-America. No, you can say, I'm being pragmatic. And I'm saying, yesterday I had $1,000. Today I have 50. And the next day I have 25. And now I have a quarter. But I owe $10 trillion. That is just a statement of fact. whether you agree or disagree with the messenger, the message is sound.
Right.
And so in this book that you have shown, the messenger is talking about education. You don't have to look too far to see that America has fallen behind those nations who are considered first world leaders, examples. Well, when you look, you will see that America is struggling to compete with other nations in terms of educating its populace.
Right.
And why? Because today we're in a technological society, but the educational system is based on an agrarian model.
Right.
The agricultural model. Why do you have summers off? Why does the legislature let out during the summer? Why?
Right.
Because individuals had to leave and go work and till their fields.
True
Well,
indeed.
today, how many of you need to really be out of school during the summer so you can go work your fields?
Nobody.
Particularly not black people, because the fields you owned, you no longer own.
Right.
So, I mean, I just wanted to put that out there for those who would be stunned or shocked to say that there are individuals who are looking and choosing and picking and observing what's taking place around them, whereas you talked about the larger media portraying and positioning you, myself, and others as those who may be involved in hate.
Right.
And that's not the case.
Yes, sir. Now, another question. So many things running through my mind right now. But I want to talk about the hopes, the dreams, the aspirations of a people, not just black people, but oppressed people, persons who voted for Senator Barack Obama, now President-elect Obama. We now know that he didn't ride into office on the votes of just 30 to 40 million black people, but that he rode in on a 65 million vote mandate that included people from all races, colors, creeds, classes, whatever. But in particular, black people, you know, it's like speaking to us, a lot of our hopes and dreams and aspirations are riding on him. You know, a very immature political view, in my view. Minister Farrakhan said something in his lecture dealing with that. He said, "You are the only people who seek political strength on the basis of nothing."
It's a powerful statement.
Very powerful statement. We're the only people who seek political strength on the basis of nothing. Now, what does the basis of our political strength have to be upon? I mean, we know that he's the first African-American, black, Negro, whatever it is that we want to call him, politician who has ascended to the office of presidency. But what has to be the basis of our seeking political strength, in your opinion?
Well, if you're talking about I or we, you're talking about that collective body in 1930 that was counted as 17 million plus 2 million Indians or Native Americans, upwards of 20 million or more even now. If you're talking about that group, our basis is unity. Every group that has experienced political strength and relevancy is based on their ability to unify, to unite behind a common agenda, a common vision, and outcomes that are in their best, in their best interests.
Yes, sir.
Well, if you're talking about a people who don't know their best interest, who have always put someone else's best interests in front of them, their political strength rests on nothing.